This is one of the most secured commercial buildings on Earth. Here, on the -2nd floor, lie diamonds worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The security here is like in the movies, with 60 cameras around the building, monitored 24/7 by the police. The entrance to the premises is blocked by security. Inside the building, there's a security service and, of course, cameras. The entrance to the diamond vault is blocked by a large door. Inside the vault, there are many sensors, but what's missing is Tom Cruise from Mission Impossible. But let's get back to the heist. And even if you manage to pass everything and reach the diamonds, that's just the beginning. Now, without leaving any clues, you need to discreetly exit the building, the city, and the country.
But this is impossible, even theoretically, just.
18 years ago, a 50-year-old Italian with accomplices did it.
He pulled off what many journalists would later call the heist of the century. He stole diamonds worth over $100 million, only using a mop, a piece of styrofoam, and hairspray.
In this video, I'll tell you about the details and mysteries of the largest diamond heist in history. How did the criminals manage to rob one of the most impregnable vaults in the world on one of the most heavily guarded streets in one of the safest cities on the planet? Who were these people and what happened to them afterward?
And so, the action takes place in the small Belgian city of Antwerp.
On February 17, 2003, Monday at 7:30 a.m., Detective Patrick Pays is getting ready for work. At that moment, he receives a call from the local police station. An inspector informs him that a diamond heist has occurred in the Antwerp Diamond Center. The detective and his partner enter the vault, and at that moment, the security firm remotely monitoring the security systems in the vault calls. Just when the security assures him that everything is under control, the detective stands in the middle of the looted vault, carefully examining it. The detectives realize that
they are dealing with the largest diamond heist in history, stolen amount over $100 million.
Did you ever wonder why Antwerp specifically? A little backstory. In the 16th century, Antwerp, here precisely, diamond merchants began polishing and processing diamonds. Masters from Antwerp 500 years ago started processing them with special tools.
Okay, since then, not New York, London or Dubai, but specifically Antwerp has been the diamond capital of the world. Through this small Belgian city, 80% of all processed diamonds pass.
In Antwerp in the 90s, the world's first police squad dedicated to crimes involving precious stones was established.
Primarily, detectives were mainly focused on combating smuggling. For instance, a significant event was the apprehension of a smuggler caught transporting a 3,000-carat diamond.
But let's get back to Antwerp. Essentially, all the activity related to stones is concentrated in the so-called Diamond Quarter 3 small streets occupied by dull office buildings. Here, they solely engage in buying, selling, and processing diamonds from around the world.
No one would think of stealing and attempting to escape. It's futile given the security measures in the Diamond Quarter.
Access to the area was restricted, with security checkpoints allowing only verified vehicles. Everyone else walked on the 3 small streets, monitored by 60 cameras. Every movement inside the quarter was recorded during working hours, patrolled by uniformed police officers. The Antwerp Diamond Center, situated 2 floors below ground, boasted a massive 3-ton iron door. Entry was possible only with a personal cell, opened in 2 stages, a 4-digit code and a physical key held exclusively by security. Inside the vault, there were no surveillance cameras to maintain client privacy. Instead, various security measures, such as motion and heat detectors, were in place.
Despite these measures, everything changed on February 17 in 2003.
Dumbfounded detectives stood in the empty vault after thoroughly investigating the crime scene. The police had no leads, and no one knew how the thieves infiltrated or exited the building. It was a perfect crime executed with criminal genius.
But the story of this heist of the century began several years earlier.
In 2000, Leonardo Notarbartolo, a friendly, slightly overweight Italian from Turin, arrived in Antwerp. He rented a small apartment in the city center and established his jewelry business there. Antwerp, being an ideal city to source resources, prompted him to lease an office in the Antwerp Diamond Center.
This allowed him to meticulously document all security measures in the building, engage in friendly conversation with security personnel, and exchange pleasantries to gather as much information as possible. The main bonus for Leonardo was access to the basement where one of the vault cells belonged to him for 2 years.
Leonardo carefully analyzed the information with his accomplices, each a professional in their field. One was a lock-picking expert, another adept at forging keys, and the third skilled in disabling alarms and so on.
It seems his accomplices not only devised the heist plan on paper, but also built a replica of the Diamond Vault. There, they honed each stage of the operation. And although the police never found this location, but they were sure of its existence.
Preparing for the heist took more than 2 years. The operation was set for the night from Saturday to Sunday, February 15, 2003. At that time, Antwerp was hosting a major international tennis tournament, with the main prize being a diamond and precious metal trophy shaped like a racket with a ball. It was also the weekend right after Valentine's Day. In short, the vault was expected to have a lot of diamonds. The heist was scheduled for just past midnight. Accomplices arrived in a car at the Diamond Quarter and stopped on a nearby street close to the police checkpoint, blocking entry to the area. Since this street was not part of the Diamond Quarter and lacked surveillance cameras, several individuals with bags walked past the nearby police station and headed towards the building through the garage, the only way to enter without a personal pass. The criminals unlocked the door and entered, going down the stairs to the basement. Now in front of them was a 3-ton door blocking the entrance to the vault. To open it in complete darkness, they needed an exact replica of the room, since a light detector was on the ceiling inside the vault. This required precision to avoid triggering the light detector. The team had no room for error. The door had a code lock with a 4-digit combination. One of the accomplices entered the correct combination. Detectives still don't know how Leonardo and his team obtained the code, but it was likely through a hidden camera Leonardo had during one of his visits to the vault a few days before the heist. Another lock required a physical key, which the team managed to acquire during their numerous visits to the storage. Leonardo noticed that before opening the doors, the guard always entered a utility room next to the vault. There, the thieves found the necessary key and unlocked the door. Luck was on their side, but just in case the key was missing, the team had a skilled locksmith. The final protection stage involved 2 magnets. When the door opened, they disconnected, triggering an alarm. The accomplices unscrewed both magnets together, maintaining the magnetic field between them. The thieves moved the magnets aside, opened the door, and entered the vault. At that moment, they heard the most pleasant sound in the world: silence. None of the alarm sensors went off. First thing, the tallest member of the team taped over the light sensor on the ceiling. Only now could the accomplices turn on their flashlights. Until then, everything happened in pitch darkness.
Wait, what about the other sensors? Why didn't they trigger? Just a couple of days before the heist, Leonardo brought hairspray during one of his visits to the vault. When he was alone, there he covered the heat and motion sensors with hairspray. This was supposed to temporarily block their function.
The idea worked, but the hitch was that the accomplices didn't know how long the hairspray would last. Sensors could activate at any moment. So, the thieves took out a pre-prepared mop, attached a piece of styrofoam to it, and positioned the structure in front of the heat and motion sensors. Now, they wouldn't trigger for sure.
The rest is technical. The thieves cracked the safe, retrieved the contents, and packed them in bags.
After emptying more than half of the safes, they conclude the operation. But before leaving, there's one more problem to solve. Remember the 24/7 surveillance cameras inside the Diamond Center? During their preparations, they found out that no one was monitoring them online 24 hours a day. On weekends, the cameras simply recorded images, and the guards reviewed the footage on Mondays. The plan was simply to take the recordings, so the thieves left the building the same way they came in. At that moment, the group split. Some got into a car while others dispersed. They agreed to meet in Italy in a few days. On February 17th, 2003, just over a day after the heist, detectives realized they hit a dead end. No leads, traces, or witnesses. Clearly, only criminal masterminds could pull off such an operation.
The people who robbed the Antwerp Diamond Center were members of the so-called Turing School, an organization of highly experienced thieves specializing in stealing valuables.
This organization was like a fight club. The members utilized sophisticated methods, applying knowledge of engineering, physics, and other sciences.
They meticulously calculate and planned all these operations.
Just when detectives realized solving the crime would be nearly impossible, they received an unexpected call from a police station in a small town 50 kilometers from Antwerp. This call changed everything. It was from a pensioner living near Antwerp who owned a small piece of forest. He mentioned finding a trash bag containing money and precious stones. Police went to the location, and the thieves presumed the place where they disposed of the trash was completely safe. A secluded forest near the highway where no one would find it.
But this small piece of forest was only partly owned land for many kilometers around.
Over the next few days, police examined the trash. Besides documents from the Antwerp Diamond Center and currency from various countries, they found small green stones and traces of unknown individuals' DNA among the food remnants. Among the trash was an interesting document with details from one of the companies renting an office in the Diamond Center. The head of this company was Leonardo. The police discovered that the cell in the storage belonging to Leonardo was not tampered with during the robbery, just like the document from his company that ended up in the trash.
Among the discarded items, the police also found boxes from cassettes that presumably could have recordings from surveillance cameras. But, however, the boxes themselves were empty. Detectives recently assumed that the recordings might be discarded nearby.
After inspecting nearly 30 kilometers of the forest, the police find several tapes. In a room, over a dozen detectives gather. They insert a cassette into the player, eagerly anticipating seeing the faces of the kidnappers. In a few moments, porn starts playing on the screen. It turns out the tapes found elsewhere in the forest were not missing recordings from the boxes. They were just regular porn discarded by someone else. Nevertheless, the lead with documents in Leonardo's name yields results. The police search his empty office and then come to his apartment, where, among other things, they find small green stones on the carpet. In the end, thanks to the evidence found in the trash, the police managed to apprehend 4 people involved in the crime, including Leonardo. During questioning, none of the detainees said a word. By the court's decision, Leonardo Notarbartolo was sentenced to 10 years in prison. His accomplices received less. Leonardo was released on parole in 2009, 6 years after the heist. At that time, he gave the only interview in which he shared a bit about his biography. Leonardo's first theft was at the age of 6, when his mom gave him money to buy milk. Instead, little Leonardo not only brought back milk, but also more money. Seizing the opportunity, he stole from the sleeping milkman. Despite parental punishment, Leonardo continued his criminal career. In elementary school, he stole money from teachers' purses. As a teenager, he moved on to car theft. By the age of 30, Leonardo began assembling a team of unique professionals, each excelling in specific skills, from lockpicking to disabling alarms. The Antwerp Diamond Center heist became their masterpiece, an artful crime